Hello everyone and welcome back to the Velocity channel, where this is your bridge to financial freedom. Today we're going to go ahead and take care of another cash flow sucking loan, but we're not going to pay extra every month. A lot of you don't want to pay the extra every month. Guess what? You do not have to. I've got an even better plan. You know we're going to be using these banking tools for us instead of against us, so that this $89,000 that we are about to eliminate very quickly doesn't have to break the pocketbook. All right, before we show you that, please like, share, and subscribe so that everyone around the world can know the power of Velocity Banking. Let me tell you something. What if I told you that the whole system was actually rigged against you? And there are people that want your money so bad that they are willing to fool you into thinking that they are your friend, that they are your educator, when all they want is that money. I'm going to show you how they do that. It's called amortization, okay? That's what this loan is. That's what a lot of loans are. They are amortized. Rarely will you see one simple interest. Make sure that you are asking your lender, hey, is this loan simple interest or not? And they are obligated to tell you whether it is amortized or simple interest. Now, what we want to do is we want to, like we always do, take care of what we have already. Let's give you an overview of what we have. $89,000 at 10%. Of course, that's going to be $1,350 minimum payment each and every month. What does that mean? That means that this amount will not be going just to the principal. Why? Because there's principal and then there's interest. Interest is the cost of borrowing money. Let me say that one more time. Interest is the cost of borrowing money. So we do have to split that minimum payment. Let's see if that minimum payment is going to be in your favor. Before we do that, let's go ahead and give you what we're working with in order to destroy this principle. We're going to be working with a line of credit, not of $10,000. I know that's what you're used to. We're going to be using a line of credit of $5,000. And oh, by the way, let's go ahead and make this interest rate even bigger at 20%. Now, why in the world would we use a line of credit that is bigger, the interest rate is bigger, at least numerically, than the interest rate for our loans? Does anybody know why? Because the loan is closed-ended, meaning your money goes one way, and that's a way from you, versus our line of credit, it goes both ways. It is a revolving account. Oh, and by the way, that interest rate is calculated much differently than this interest rate. Hence, the name simple interest belongs to the line of credit and amortized belongs to the loan. Notice that word in there, in amortized, mort, means death. Always think of loans as not only debt, but death to your pocketbook. All right, let's go ahead and share with you what the banks want you to pay if you go by their schedule. All right, let's go ahead and see where the bank wants you 8 years from now. All right, we have in the first month, they want $741 of your hard-earned $1,350, while $609 goes towards that gargantuan principal loan. Let's go ahead and go to the next month, and let's see if it gets any better. $736, so it did go down by $5 that you're going to be placing towards the bank. And it did go up by $5 on the principal side. So let's go ahead and jump 10 months and see if it got any better. $683 towards the interest side, $667. And as you can see, at the 48-month mark, that is halfway through this 8-year loan, you're still paying $451 towards the interest, $899 towards principal. Is there another way that we can get rid of this loan versus what the banks have told us? Let's go ahead and see. All right, let's take that $5,000 that we have. Again, it's not $10,000, and it's at the 20%. That's going to be very important because we have to make sure that we include that interest, all right? We're going to be including the interest in there of the line of credit. But look what happens in the first month. You place that $5,000 from your line of credit towards this gargantuan loan, all right? Look what it does in the second month. Boom, dramatically drops it to $695 to the bank. What does that mean? That means those interest dollars that were going to the bank, right, on this side, have now transferred towards the principal. And you're actually going to see that month after month, okay? On the 12th month, we've got $596 going towards interest, $754 going towards principal, and of course it's just snowballing, okay? And it's blizzarding, right? Getting rid of or eliminating or whiting out this loan very rapidly, okay? That's in strategic deployments of that $5,000. Now, I know what you're saying. CJ, did you know that as you have a balance on your line of credit, it's gaining in interest dollars, so I still got to pay interest? How in the world is that a good idea? And I'm glad you asked that. So let's go ahead and see how we're going to pay this line of credit, all right? Let's say you make the $5,000 in income. Let's subtract that by, why not say $4,500 is your expenses, okay? $4,500 is the expenses. That's going to leave $500 as your cash flow. Now, remember how you're going to be paying your line of credit. You're not going to use it like some regular line of credit, like a regular person would, all right? You're a velocity banker. How you're going to use it is like this. You're going to park that cash in there. $500. Now, remember, whatever your minimum monthly payment is that's going to be below that $500, that's yours now. That minimum monthly payment is yours, and you don't have to worry about a minimum monthly payment because you are using your line of credit as your new checking account. Now, as that $500 stays in there, how many months is it going to take you to replenish the $5,000? 50 divided by 5, right? 10 months. All right. So strategically, right, every 10 months, you're going to be deploying that $5,000. And if you don't want to do that 1 month or after the 10 months, you want to do it after the 11th month, that's fine too. You know why? Because with just 4, count them, 4 strategic deployments of the $5,000, you know when you're going to get out of this? You're going to get out of it. Not in 8 years, but 5 years and 11 months. You're strategically deploying the $5,000 towards that principal payment as you're continuing to pay each and every month. Now, at the end of the 5 years and 11 months, not only will you be able to capture this $1,350 a month, but I want you to notice the difference between the total interest that you've paid on the Velocity Banking side, $25,544, and the total interest that you've paid on the traditional banking side, $40,648. Which, if we were to give you a Velocity Banking factor, let's divide this number, the Velocity Banking interest, versus, or divided by the traditional banking interest, that's going to give us a Velocity Banking factor of 62.84%, meaning you have saved 37.16% in interest savings. Is that all right? To save in interest with the same dollars that you make, without having to cut any expenses, without having to get a second, third, and fourth job to take care of the loan, with the same dollars that you already have, with the same financial tool that you've already been given. For many of you, this is someone else's money anyway. It's not even yours. The bank just decided, hey, we can trust you. Let's go ahead and have you give you $5,000 on the line of credit. And because you know how to use it, you've saved, how many thousands is that? Over 15,000? But there's something that's missing. Can you tell what's missing? Remember, there's interest also gained from this, folks. So we got to add the interest in there. So let's just say, right, that you kept a $5,000 balance in there. All right? And so therefore, right, you already know how to do the interest each month. This is actually $84, right, a month if we were to keep that $5,000 in there. Now, we're not keeping the $5,000 in there, remember? Because we're paying it down as we keep that $500 in there. But we kept it in there, all right, just to show you the power of velocity banking. And so we calculated $3,360, right, in interest, including the line of credit. So now that's going to increase, watch this, that's going to increase our velocity banking factor to 71.11%, so not as good. However, we still have saved 28.89% in interest savings. Is that okay? We still saved with the same amount of money that we have. You don't need to get a consolidation loan. You got to get a consolidation line. I want you to eliminate that from your vocabulary. Consolidation loan. That is 20th century thinking. We are in the 21st century, right? Remember, the banking that you've done up until now has been 20th century, 19th century banking. It's time to jump ahead and do a time collapse transaction to where you jump ahead in the 21st century and start banking like this. Start using your lines of credit as banking tools. Stop treating them as anathema or something to be cursed or something to be tore up. These are leverage tools, all right? There's a difference between debt and leverage. Debt, you're going into debt. You're buying something that's a liability. Leverage, you're buying something that's an asset that's going to improve your way of life. And this is how you do it. All right? Folks, I want you to take a good look at this because this is the future. I want you to start prioritizing your loans correctly. And if you have any questions, just let me know. All right? God bless you, and we'll see you in another video.